Alright, well, morning the gym. Welcome back. So I was silent for like 5 minutes. So yep, it's another day. Currently it's only like, what? It's like golden hour. Well, it's just me and one person. But yeah, for some reason today's really quiet. No one's here. But I think I have a suspicion it's because this place has got a hint of shit smell. And I'm not sure it's from the outside or it's from the inside. I couldn't tell. But there's a faint hint of shit. Sewage. Either sewage or shit. But one of the two. The gym has a faint smell or something, so I'm not sure if that's going to improve or get worse. But yeah, just like two people here today. Nothing else really special. Yesterday we revisited Roman Medgod. I'll be honest, it was actually pretty good though. Wow, it's been a while since I played Roman Medgod, and it's pretty good. It's really good. I don't really mind it, so maybe I play it again today. And besides that, I completely forgot about the Minecraft stream. Whoops. Should probably do that. What else is there? Yesterday we just did High on Life 2, Realm and a Mad God, and that was about it. Oh, and I think like I did like a mini story video, but it was boring, and that's about it. So yesterday, ain't too much happening. Yeah, so basically we just did High on Life 2, Realm and a Mad God, and that's about it. So what's the plans today? I'm actually not sure. I have no idea. Well, the plan is pretty much this, then food, then dips, then up with the regime, then editing, and then either food or some kind of whatever, and then that's kind of at it until something interesting happens. Yeah, yeah, there's like nothing else to talk about, to be honest. We'll be here for like another 10 minutes and that's it. Yeah, it's nothing really to say, except Roman and Mad God might be a new Shella game. Maybe. I'll see. But yeah, ain't really much to say. Oh, my bad, I pressed the button by accident. Whoops, not red. Oh well, guys, unconsciously just pressed the button there. It's only like, what, 1 minute, 30 seconds off. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it for today. I'll give you guys a slow video, right? Alright, well, see you guys soon.
My bad, my mic was muted. Luckily, I saw that. Hey guys, welcome back. So, yeah, again, we're gonna continue the True Ocean Horror Story. See if I'd get bored or not. I got like TikTok brand or something. Whatever. Story 2. Here we go.
This was about 2 years ago. I had just finished a dead-end job. Not even gonna bother saying what it was, and I was in no rush to find the next thing. I had some money saved up, and I was in that phase where I just wanted to be outside and think. I was 24, single, living cheap, and more interested in figuring out what exactly I wanted to do in my life than in doing anything specific. My friend Peter was in a similar place. He dropped out of a master's program a few months earlier and was bartending while he sorted himself out. We spent a lot of time together that summer, just driving around, camping, hiking, stuff like that. One weekend, we decided to camp out overnight on a beach. It was actually Peter's idea, but I was fully on board. I wasn't sure of the legality of something like that, and neither was he, so we decided to avoid any popular beaches with boardwalks or lots of tourists. We both live about 20 minutes inland, so we had a ton of options. We ended up just picking some random beach about an hour's drive away. It was just a quiet stretch of sand in a residential area where we knew we wouldn't be bothered. The houses along that section were set back from the water, and we were pretty sure the only people who used that beach were people who actually lived there. No one would even notice us. Peter had been to that beach before during the day. Not the exact stretch we
Okay, so you're camping in a... Okay, I mean, it's a public beach, so...
picked, but close enough, and he said it felt private. We got there in the late afternoon and set up. It was October and a little chilly.
I mean, it just depends because it depends on like the context of like how close the houses are. Because imagine if you have like a beachside house and then outside you just see two people camping in the beach. You'd be a bit worried. Especially if it's two guys.
So the plan was to pitch a tent and sleep in there should it get too cold or windy. Being out there all alone, surrounded by nothing but the ocean and the sky, was really peaceful. We built a fire in a shallow pit, cooked some food, and just sat there on the sand watching the water.
Life.
By the time we finished eating, the sun had already set. I don't drink, and I didn't at the time either, but Peter cracked a beer, and he was nice enough to have brought me a non-alcoholic one. So the two of us are just sitting there on the beach, talking, having a good time.
Chilling.
When I noticed something out over the water. It was this faint light hovering somewhere near the horizon. At first, I thought it was a boat or maybe a distant ship. I pointed it out to Peter, and the two of us watched it for a minute. It wasn't unusual in the slightest. Ships passed through there all the time, but something about it just seemed off. Eventually, I realized what it was. The light was skipping around erratically, like jumping from spot to spot, not drifting across the horizon the way a vessel would. It flicked from one spot to another almost instantly, like it had blinked out and then reappeared 10 degrees to the left. It kept doing that every so often. The unnatural skipping, but it would glitch at times too. It's kind of hard to describe because I had never seen anything like it. It also must have been approaching us slightly because at one point I realized it was green, not white or yellow or that ambery color you'd see from a normal ship's lights. It was actually distinctly green, not bright but clearly visible against the dark sky. Peter suggested we get up and move.
It's some kind of floating LED device. The waves are making a move every time because it's not standing still. It's floating. Most likely a floating buoy with light on it. Or something. Maybe it's like a fishing lure. A fishing lure light. Something, maybe. Depends on how big the light was. Fishing. Maybe a little fishing LED light. It's floating on the surface so every time it moves. Yeah.
Move closer to the water for a better look, which we did. But still, that didn't help much. The two of us spent the next several minutes going back and forth on what it could be. Drones, helicopters, light reflection from a plane, some kind of military exercise. It was possible, but like I said before, I'd never seen anything like it, and neither had Peter.
Someone in the house is flashing a laser at the waters and it reflects back at them.
There was also no sound at all. Not the faint sound of an engine or something like that, though I'm not sure if that was just because it was so far away.
Depends on how
If I
bright it
had
is.
been alone, I honestly would have thought I was hallucinating or daydreaming. But Peter was right next to me and he was seeing the exact same thing. The light started moving a little faster, which I immediately assumed meant it was getting closer. The pauses between jumps got shorter and the jumps themselves got wider. That's when I started getting a little scared. What had been a point of light on the horizon was now something I could perceive depth in, like it had dimension to it, like it had gone from a dot to a glow. I was fixated. I don't know how long we watched it. It could have been anywhere from 10 minutes to 30. It felt like a long time. At a certain point, the light stopped getting closer and started doing something different. It began moving in a pattern, circles, or something close to circles. It was almost dancing or twinkling now as opposed to stuttering. Peter and I weren't even talking at that point. What was there to even say? Eventually, the light just abruptly disappeared. I didn't notice it recede.
Someone's pointing a laser.
It was most like it just clicked off. We sat
Ran out
in
of power.
silence for a while, waiting for it to reappear, but it didn't. Peter wanted to stay on the beach and keep watching, but I didn't. I convinced Peter that we should just seize the opportunity to go to sleep. It was pretty late at that point anyway, and I was admittedly feeling pretty unsettled. So the two of us got into the tent and zipped it shut. We tried to revive the mood for a little, but neither of us really wanted to talk or do much of anything else. So we ended up just going to sleep. The next thing I remember is Peter shaking me awake. It must have been sometime just after sunrise because I could see the light through the walls of
Wake
the
up,
tent.
man, you gotta wake up.
I asked him what he was doing, still half asleep, but he just urged me to wake up and look. So I did. I crawled out of the tent and stood up, not sure what to expect. The first thing I saw was a circle in the sand around our tent, or more like a trench. Someone had dug a circle in the sand that went around our tent with maybe 3 or 4 feet of clearance on each side. It was eerily uniform in both width and depth, say 6 inches deep and a foot across. It was damn near a perfect circle carved into the beach around our tent. Before I could even rationalize what I was seeing, Peter waved me further down the beach. He had clearly seen everything already. I followed him, and to my horror, I realized there were more holes, dozens of them. They were roughly the same size, dug into the sand at irregular intervals. Some were clustered close together, and some were spaced further apart. There was no pattern to the placement that I could identify. They continued really far down the beach, to the point where it would have taken someone hours to do all of that by themselves. It got worse though. Peter pointed out a specific hole and told me to closely look at it. I did, and I realized that the sand was tinted green. It was subtle enough that you might not notice it at first glance, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. A bunch of the holes were tinted, and it was genuinely freaky because I didn't know how that was possible. My first instinct was to touch the sand and feel what it was. But as I reached my hand out, Peter yelled at me to stop.
They're in a
I turned around
simulation.
and asked him why, and he said
He's
I
not
would
real.
be crazy to do that. I didn't really see
They're in a
what the harm
simulation,
would
it's not
be,
real.
but I realized he was much more freaked out than I was.
He's not real
So I
either.
indulged him and didn't touch the sand. Seeing him like that freaked me out even more. And I got such a bad feeling in my gut that I just wanted to immediately pack up and leave. That's exactly what we did. We didn't talk much as we packed. I think both of us were trying to figure out if we were justified in feeling scared, because there was nothing actively threatening us in any way.
They're in a simulation. They probably got sucked up by something, and they're probably like they're just in a simulation or on drugs.
There was no one there. It was just us, the holes, the circle,
Yeah.
the green sand, and the beach.
He's in a
But
simulation.
the feeling was terrible. Something had been on that beach while we slept, close enough to dig a circle within arm's reach of our tent, and we hadn't heard a thing. Whatever the light was, whatever the holes were, and whatever had turned the sand green, it all happened while we were lying right there. As we were driving away, Peter eventually said something like, "What the fuck was that?" And I told him I didn't know.
Simulation.
That was the extent of the conversation. I've been back to that beach during the day a couple times since then. The holes were gone within a few days, probably filled in by the tide. I couldn't find a trace of any of it. I've looked up everything I can think of. Bioluminescence, military testing ranges, tidal phenomena, sand composition changes. Nothing matches all of it at once.
Simulation.
I thought the holes could have been caused by some kind of sea animal.
Simulation.
I was never able to find anything conclusive. I honestly
Satellite.
don't know what happened that night. the weirdest thing is actually how Peter reacted. He doesn't even like talking about that night, which
Peter's not real. He gone. The real one's gone. That Peter's not even real.
I find strange because there's no harm in discussing it. He told me once that he just wanted to forget the whole thing, which I guess I don't blame him for. But his reaction freaked me out twice as much because fear is unusual for Peter. Either way, I know I'll never get an answer as to what happened that night.
Peter ain't real, bro. He was in a simulation satellite or something else. That story you can't do much about. Sounds like simulation, though.
I've been diving since college. I'm in my late 30s now, and I've got somewhere around 80 dives logged, give or take. My buddy Ryan has about the same. We're not professionals by any means, but we're not beginners either. We've done enough to be comfortable at depth, which is probably what made this whole thing possible in the first place. This happened back in 2016, during a trip we took to Roatan, Honduras. There's a cargo wreck out there about 110 feet that's supposed to be a solid advanced dive. The site checked all the boxes. It was a good structure, not too technical, and there was decent marine life. We went out with a small local operation, maybe 6 divers total on the boat. The dive master gave us the standard briefing. Stay above 100 feet. The wreck sits on a slope, so the stern drops deeper. Don't penetrate the structure. 25 minutes max bottom time. We obviously took him seriously, but I have to admit, most of my attention was elsewhere, as was Ryan's. We'd heard it all before. We descended, and the wreck was awesome. It was this big, rusted hole with lots of structure to look at. This was maybe 60 feet, which is solid for that depth. We were swimming along the port side when we drifted toward the stern, which angled down the slope into deeper water. I checked my computer, and it read 105, which was essentially right at the limit. But those limits are extremely cautionary, which I knew, and so did Ryan. So I wasn't too concerned about pushing things slightly.
Okay, so they're just gonna go
I was
in.
extremely confident in my abilities at that age.
Alright.
Perhaps a little overconfident. And being with a daring guy like Ryan just amplified that self-assurance.
Yep, they're gonna go for it.
As we kept swimming, I realized the lower section of the deck looked interesting. There was a large opening in the hull where a cargo hatch had rusted through, and you could see down onto the deck plating inside. Like I said, interesting. Ryan must have been thinking the same thing because he had already started descending without even glancing back at me.
You gotta go in deep.
I kept thinking to myself, when am I going to get this chance again? Probably never. Diving spots are practically infinite, and I know there was a good chance I'd never be in Honduras again, let alone at that site. So I followed him. We dropped to about 120, then a little further. I was aware we were pushing it, but the wreck was compelling.
120.
Like I said before, Ryan was already ahead of me.
GG.
Plus, splitting up while on a dive that deep was arguably less safe than what we were doing. Ryan abruptly stopped swimming, paused for a few seconds, then turned and gave me a signal. He was pointing at something on the deck, just inside the hatch opening.
Probably dead person.
I swam over and looked down.
Skeleton.
It actually took me a few seconds to properly process what I was seeing.
Skeleton.
There was something unnatural sitting on the rusted deck plating. I initially processed it as a jellyfish because that's what it was, and I want to be as clear as possible about what I was looking at. It was wrong. It was bright yellow, not dull yellow or brownish yellow, but brilliant and vivid, almost fluorescent, which was impossible.
I mean,
If you've ever been below 100 feet, you know that color doesn't exist down there.
how do you know?
I'm not really sure how it works, but at depth, the water filters out warm light, so everything just looks blue and green. At 130 feet, which is around where we were, you could hold a red marble in front of your face and it would look gray. But this jellyfish looked like a mini light source.
I mean, that's possible, right? I don't know much about the ocean, but like, have you seen the kind of things in the bottom of the ocean? The crazy stuff, right? Maybe a mutation or just an anomaly. Yeah, I mean,
It was screaming yellow. At the time, I didn't feel scared. If anything, seeing it actually excited me. I got this uncontrollable, almost childish urge to start laughing, which I had to physically suppress. I kept looking at it, It was about the size of a basketball, slightly flattened, and it had texture to it. Folds or ridges, like the surface of a brain.
Plot twist, they got like pressure drug. What is it called? Pressure drunk? When they've gone past the pressure and their minds start going crazy because they're drunk. Because there's like the pressure difference, right? Something like that. It's like you start losing your mind once you get past a certain threshold. You just like, you know, maybe it looks yellow to you, but to your mate it looks green or blue. You guys can't even communicate down there.
It was swaying very delicately back and forth, but it wasn't pulsating the way jellyfish normally would. It was just kind of sitting there on the metal. After a little while, my excitement faded away, but I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Ryan and I hovered over it, and at that point, I felt something that I still have trouble describing. I was completely locked in, but also zoned out. Sort of like I was forgetting where I was and what I was doing. I later found out that Ryan experienced the same thing. So there the two of us were, circling around this mysterious jellyfish without really understanding what it was. At one point, I saw Ryan extend his hand toward the thing. I watched him do it, and it didn't occur to me to stop him. He pulled it back before making contact, but I barely even reacted. And then, all of a sudden, my dive computer started screaming at me. I looked down, and it snapped me out of whatever haze I had been in. We were at 134 feet, and we'd been at depth for almost 30 minutes. My air was at 600 psi, which if you don't dive, that's emergency level. You're supposed to start heading up at 700. Ryan checked his, and his was worse. I looked at him, and he looked like he had just woken up, which was exactly how I felt. The next 10 or so minutes are kind of blurry. We ascended way too fast because we didn't have the air to do it properly. We did the best safety stops we could on what we had left, but it was bad. The next thing I remember is getting yelled at by the dive master, who was absolutely furious, and he should have been. I had a pounding headache for hours afterwards, and it was unlike any pain I had ever experienced. Ryan was worse. He threw up twice before we even made it back to the shore, and I remember feeling so bad for all the other divers we were with, especially the dive master. This isn't super relevant, but I ended up tipping him basically all the cash I had on me. Fast forward to later that night, and Ryan and I basically made a full recovery. We were just lounging in the hotel because neither of us wanted to do a thing besides sleep. We spent a good 20 minutes or so talking about the jellyfish we had seen down there, trying to figure out if there was some kind of fluorescent species or something else that could have explained it. Ryan suddenly remembered that he had recorded the entire dive with his GoPro, which I had also completely forgotten about on account of the decompression
footage?
sickness.
Free footage?
The two of us watched the footage back, and Ryan skipped ahead to the part where we had seen it.
Why'd you change voice actors?
I kept anticipating a yellow glow flooding the screen, but here's the thing, it never did. For about 8.5 minutes, the footage showed the two of us hovering over a bare section of rusted deck plating. There was no jellyfish. It was worse than that. There was nothing there at all. No object of any kind. We were circling a completely empty patch of metal. The entire thing had been a hallucination, which was a terrifying thought. It was obviously nitrogen narcosis. At 130 feet on air.
I told you they'll be tripping. They tripping. I bet when they agreed it was a jellyfish, they probably just said it to make each other feel better. They just tripping for real. I told you they get drunk in their pressure thing. Hey, if the GoPro picked up nothing, then they just tripping, and one of them is just lying. One of them's lying and agreeing with the other that they saw a yellow jellyfish. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you guys did have like a pretty bad headache and stuff, right? So it'd be natural for one of you guys to agree on what you saw, right?
You can absolutely get narked. The effects vary: impaired judgment, euphoria, fixation on objects, loss of time awareness, and several other things. That's the medical explanation, and it fits almost perfectly, except for one thing. We both saw the same exact thing. We didn't talk about it underwater, obviously, because you can't, but when we later described it to each other independently, it matched. The color, the size, the texture, the way it sat on the
One of
deck,
you guys are lying.
everything. Ryan described the membrane-like ridges the same way I remembered them.
Yeah, one of you guys is
obviously
just
doesn't work that way.
one person's saying it all. One person's fabricating it. The person's just reinforcing it by agreeing. That's the only explanation for it. Because if the GoPro picked up nothing, and they're both tripping, yeah, one of them's just agreeing without, yeah.
It's an individual response. Two divers narked at the same depth at the same time will experience different symptoms. One might feel euphoric while the other gets anxious. Shared visual hallucinations with identical physical details aren't a documented feature of nitrogen narcosis. I don't think that would even be possible. I looked this up obsessively for weeks after we got home, but found nothing conclusive. There's nothing on Earth that can cause a shared visual hallucination.
Yeah, one person's lying, or it's just a coincidence that you guys thought of the same thing. It's like when you say to a friend, hey, think of a number 1 to 10, and you both say 8 at the same time. It's like, oh, well, damn, we both said the same number at the same time. What a coincidence. He's like, it is what it is.
We kept diving together for a few years after that incident, but we eventually fell out of touch. I still dive when I get the chance.
Fell out of touch, what
Things
happened?
just got too busy and never changed. This
Life.
is still something I don't fully understand, and probably never will. The thing that gets me isn't what we saw. I can live with not knowing what it was. The thing that gets me is that the two of us had the exact same hallucination.
Yeah, like I said, one person's probably agreeing.
The only plausible explanation I could think of is that Ryan's narcosis effects were so much worse than mine that he just remembered what I described. But I swear he described details about that jellyfish before I did that he couldn't have possibly known if he hadn't seen it as well.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Again, when it comes to the ocean, it's going to be a lot more anomaly kind of stories rather than like situational awareness type of things, right? Of course, these guys with they went too deep. Yep, and then they just started tripping. Have you seen the footage? Diver death on GoPro. Have you seen this footage? Where is it? This one. Dude, this is exactly what happens. This is actually real, I think, is it? Yeah, like you go too deep and you just start going deeper and deeper. Yeah, and it just starts sinking. I mean, you can't really see much because there's... Look, he just starts going deeper and deeper. He just starts sinking. And then he hit, and then he yo, and then he checks it. He did. Yeah, that's the drunk. He's like drunk at this point. Yeah, look. Yeah, look. Yeah, he's too deep. It's over. I think they cut his actual death. Yeah, they cut it. They cut the footage. Okay, we don't even know if this is real or not, but it says non-edited though. But as you can see here, how does it go from 09, 11, 09, 11, 10? Yeah, you skipped a minute on the. You can't say it's non-edited. It's not. They cut the ending. I think they cut where he actually just passed away. Yeah, for those who are asking, yeah, he just got drunk sickness and stuff. This guy get eaten by a shark. Second alleged shark sighting, but it won't stop. They keep swimming and approaching him. What's bro doing in the water? He chose to swim away instead of grab the buoy they threw for him. He kept swimming, confused. Something grabbed his left leg. Who was the camera? Okay, the buoy. One bro's just gone. Oh, he's just gone. Bro, is this taken from the ship or something? Oh, this is taken from the ship. Tiger shark breeding ground. Yeah, okay, he gone. What do? He jump into the shark water? Yeah, I mean, the footage is not very good. So you don't even know if it's real or not. Subnautica type of stuff. Yeah, you don't even know what's real anymore at this point. Yeah, again, it's like you don't even know what's real anymore. Who knows how real things are at this point, you know? Is there anything else to look at besides that ocean mysterious type of stuff? Why do I always see this one short every single time when I refresh on the things? I've seen this thing that, like 10. Why is it always here? These are the exact same videos. His friend? What? What? His friend?
In our part of the world,
I'm probably not even gonna watch it though.
people carry things. Always have.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back.
My BF and our circle, my boyfriend and our circle of friends pranked me on my birthday, and
I
I
talked to her when my dad wanted me.
ghosted him because my fiance violated his BFF on his bachelor party.
My fiance assaulted his BFF on his bachelor party. I don't know what to do. My F28 fiance, who's M28, Alex, has a BFF, Danny, who's 28, and they've been friends since they were 4. She's not like the usual Reddit BFF. She's a lovely, sweet person who has never crossed boundaries with Alex.
Oh, okay, so this is... my 58 fiance.
Or they're
Why, what?
They're t-
My 28-year-old fiance, who's a female, 28-year-old Alex had a... So he just had sex with his childhood friend as another... Okay. Wife almost got completely... has almost completely stopped taking care of our toddlers. I need help.
of our 2 toddlers. I'll try to keep this as short and to the point as possible. I work a 9 to 5 all week. My wife is a stay-at-home mom to our 2 children. We have a 3.5-year-old son and a 1.5-year-old daughter. An important thing to note is that we barely have any supportive family. Her parents are not in the picture, and my parents live 2 hours away. My wife has been diagnosed with postpartum depression.
It's already over then. Whatever. Depression's not real. Why would you convince...
Abusive grandmother took my friend's child. I apologize as I'm typing on behalf of my friend who is too frantic to type. I will try.
That he's just talking about himself. When someone says, I'm typing behalf of my friend or something, they're just talking about themselves. They just say it to make it not look... to like... get it off their chest or something. When it's like, hey, I'm asking for a friend. No, you're just asking yourself. But you say it's for a friend to like try play it off.
To include as much information as possible.
So when they say my friend, my friend's abusive mother, he's basically talking about his own mother. He's just trying to get another perspective in.
Answer any questions needed if I forget anything. About 4 hours ago, my friend's abusive
Okay, yeah, this is just them talking. It's not their friend, it's just themselves.
mother showed up with the police, handed over paperwork for a suit affecting the parent-child relationship and restraining order, and took her child. The paperwork was real. I called the local police department. It states no information other than a suit affecting the parent-child relationship and restraining order has been granted by the judge. No investigation was done. Apparently, it was filed under emergency duress, with drug use being listed as the reasoning. My friend has never used drugs. They told her that they cannot test her until tomorrow, and she cannot have the child back until the 17th, when she is to appear in court. The grandmother who currently has the child has several different aliases she uses. She has charges for neglect and child abuse for my friend.
Okay, my friend's abusive mother shot up with the police. Okay, so the grandma took the child from the mother with paperwork, and because it was of drug use, so context behind the paper was drug use. Okay, your friend has never used drugs. They told her that they cannot test her until tomorrow and cannot have the kid back. Okay, so interesting. Mother has severe alias. Okay, so has charged for neglect and child abuse, animal abuse charges, etc. History of fleeing states to avoid persecution. Okay, if the mother's like that, then I doubt the daughter is any better, right? Your friend left an abusive marriage, moved into an apartment with their own child. Then my sister's friend came to help out the situation, and then the grandma just took her. So too much missing context. They're probably both just like, just from the look of it, it's a single mother with an abusive marriage that she left, so the grandma just came and took it. Whatever. I slept with a girl and it ruined my life.
And it ruined my life.
How?
I, male, was at a party the other night and I myself got drunk. And one of my best friends, female friend, and another female was there. While she was there, they got really drunk. Really, really drunk. To the point she passed out and vomited on me while I was trying to take care of her, but at some point I left her with some friends to go and drink some more because I was still sad about other things and needed the break. Eventually, the party ended and everyone was leaving. Even in my drunk state, I noticed she was going home alone using a taxi app and nobody was going with her. So I decided it'd be safer if someone, even if they were drunk, come along to
Oh no, let me guess. Y'all just
accompany her, and I intended to book my own taxi to get back home myself.
Let me guess, they had like drunk sex or something. During a car ride, I spent time booking a taxi. She snuck out of her house, so the only room available was hers. When I entered her room, I didn't have any intentions of doing anything. I knew she was dating someone. When I laid down, I was sure. As I was passing back, she started to get closer to me, putting our heads on her shoulders. Okay, y'all just had drunk sex. And then... what are you even doing in that?
Husband's browser history destroyed me. For context, I am Alexis, female 36, and Zachary is 40 male. We have been married 8 years.
8 years?
We are incredibly happy. Don't get me wrong, we have had a lot of hurdles, infertility, have 3 wonderful kids now.
Okay.
And I had breast cancer, 2019, chemo, and radiation, and multiple surgeries since. But we've gone through some of the toughest things together. Our connection is rare. Everyone always says to me, you guys are the real deal. That love is rare. I married my best friend, my ride or die. It was effortless to be together. We are in sync. We rarely fight. If we do, they are more spats about who is getting up with the kids or emptying the dishwasher. Nothing big. Ever. I've shared all of me with Zachary. I am a see-through person. I don't hide anything. On Tuesday this week, I awoke with our kids and Zachary got to sleep in. He had left his phone downstairs, and I looked through it. I checked his browsing history and found him looking up freaky spa massage parlors. The date coinciding when he was in New York for a week in August. I didn't think much of it, but thought I'll bring it up when he wakes up. I honestly thought he would have some story or some excuse as to why that was on his phone. I brought it up to him, and I knew by the look on his face something had happened. He told me he did it. He explained what it was, how effing stupid he is, how he is broken. In that moment, I felt like I broke. This man who is my home, my world, paid to have another woman give him, an HJ. I asked, have you done it before? And he said once, before we started dating. But he admitted to being addicted to adult videos. I should say our intimate life is great. I had 0 complaints. He started therapy Wednesday for adult video addiction.
Bro, he's like 40 years old, bro. What? Bro's 40 years old. Wife 36. Old. Bro just getting a hand job from the massage parlors, you know? Happy ending, is that what they call it? I mean, bro went to therapy for addiction porn. Bro, okay, whatever. Next.
That roomie's abusive boyfriend forcefully moved himself in and made the switch. Hi there. I'm writing this on a throwaway because, to be honest, I never thought I'd need to post here, but what can you do? So I moved into this flat about 8 months ago. I met Lana online on a roommate website, and we clicked well. She's a bit younger, but seemed mature. We quickly agreed to be roommates. Both of us were under time constraints to find a place to live, but have got on really well so far. Up until this. Our flat is a 2-bedroom, and to be frank, my room is clearly the better one. It's bigger and has built-in wardrobes. When looking for the flat, I found the place first on my own and put down a deposit to take it off the market while I found another roommate. The flat was perfect. Cheap rent, and my aunt manages the property, so I was keen to snap it up before anyone else did. The area it's in is popular, so I wasn't really worried about not finding someone to room with. Because of the above, and that I was there first, I took the bigger room, naturally. When showing potential roommates, including Lana around, I was sure to show the smaller room and say, this would be your room. We moved in about 8 months ago, and it's been happy families. Never heard Lana complain about a room because I have about 6 times the wardrobe space that she does. I told her she's welcome to store her off-season clothes in there, or whatever she wants to store, as long as she's not popping in every morning to get dressed. She was happy with this. Just over a month ago, I went traveling. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of having people in my room, but I told Lana if she had someone stay, her sister, friends from home, that they could sleep in my bed. She said...
So you just did that to yourself? You just did it... You just did that to yourself? You just said that anyone can join... What?
Thanks. And as she's been such...
Yeah, and then, yeah, like... What else? Go off? Why'd you just... What? Who does that? Like, what? Why would you even do that? Alright, well... Legit, I appreciate it. Dude, those stories are just so whack. Man, first story... I didn't even look at that one. Second one... Yep. Male and female banged before the party. Next one, wife has depression, which is not real, which is why they're not going to look after the kids because they are an abusive grandmother. That one needs a lot of context. I slept with a girl and ruined my life. Yeah, don't drink and have, you know, unconsented sex. Of course, that's gonna ruin your life. Husband's browsing history destroyed me. I mean, he's 40 years old, getting a little hand job from the public masseuses. That's just like the same as hiring an escort. And then roommates, boyfriend is abusive. That's your fault for literally just like giving them the keys and stuff or whatever. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it, right? See you guys next time. Bye-bye.